So Chief Manley did say the word terror, but didn't call Condit a terrorist. Jason Puckett is here to verify whether what happened here in Austin is domestic terrorism or not. Jason, what can you tell us?
Well, Quita, this has been one of the most difficult things to verify all along because everyone's definition of terrorism is different. Let's hear from one of our sources, Stratfor analyst Fred Burton.
There is no standardized definition of that. If you look at the State Department, from the Department of Justice to the FBI.
And here's what he means. This is the dictionary definition of terrorism. Systematic use of terror, especially as a means of coercion. That sounds pretty simple, but when you move into the FBI definition, things get a little less so. This is talking about groups or people with extremist ideas committing crimes. That changes things. We're talking about ideology now. And that brings us over to Title 22 of the U.S. Code. This talks about premeditated, politically motivated attacks on civilians. So did Condit's crimes fit any of these definitions? Well, here's UT professor Jeremy Surrey.
So generally, when we use the term terrorism, we use it for someone who has undertaken violent activities that are targeting civilians for the purpose of creating mayhem and fear in the public.
Surrey says by simplifying, focusing on the underlying theme of fear in the public, it's a bit easier.
I think, this is my view now, I think that what we saw in Austin this week and last couple of weeks was an act of terrorism.
And Burton agreed.
At the end of the day, I think he terrorized our city, and I certainly would call him a domestic terrorist.
And another interesting point Burton made, he said all the tools in our country's counterterrorism toolkit were used here. They had to treat it as a potential terroristic threat the entire time. They just haven't called it that yet.
All right, so that all makes sense, but Jason, people want to know, is it terrorism? Was Mark Anthony Condit a terrorist?
Well, here's what we can say, Quita. While his motivations are still unknown, his actions fit the bill. He was premeditated. He did target civilians and cause terror in this community. We can verify that Condit's actions fit definitions of terrorism. As for calling it that, in the end, we feel it is law enforcement's job to officially make that call, not KVUE's.
All right, Jason. Thank you very much.